Chapter 5. Beast's Kingdom. Rev 11, 13, 9, 6, and 8. The Antichrist ruling alongside of 9 other kings as a tyrannical religious world empire. The beast from the sea rises as the first 5 seals in Revelation 6. The white horse rider is described differently than Christ in Revelation 19. Jesus is in heaven breaking the seals, Revelation 5, while the Antichrist sets up what we read in chapter 13 as the beast from the sea. The cry of the martyrs in the 5th seal in chapter 6 reflects the scene in Revelation 13. The beast from the earth comes after the Antichrist takes over 1/4 of the land of the world, Revelation 6 verse 8, to triage and rule the conquered populations using the image of the beast, which is a type of smart AI system that is modeled to be like the statue of Marduk from ancient Babylon. The AI system is calibrated after the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, around the 5th seal by the false prophet or beast of the earth. The beast from the earth is the little horn of Daniel 7 verse 8. The beast of the earth replaces the Antichrist, who remains conquering unconquered and lost lands, while the beast from the earth administers what we see in the 5th seal as the rest of chapter 13. The other 2 kings who fall into the background are the future Pope of Western Christianity and the future ecumenical patriarch as Western Christian who sell out the faith to take the mark of the beast and apostatize into the main hub of the Antichrist's religion. An ecumenical council is called by the Antichrist as Emperor of the World, which is the tradition for all ecumenical councils. They are usually called and held by a secular emperor like Constantine or Justinian. These 3rd kings with an administration manager manages the other 6 heads and horns existing as state principalities under a world federal capital. When the beast from the earth rises to administer the system to the conquered and fallen nations, these 3rd kings are replaced, leaving the administrator and the false prophet to rule the people on behalf of the Antichrist's first beast. Daniel 7 verse 8 and Revelation 13 verses 11 to 17. The fallen angels are the beast from the abyss, who comes up to kill the 2 witnesses at the 5th and 6th trumpet. From the time of Revelation 13 and Revelation 6 up until the 6th seal, the beasts from the sea and earth are rising. From the 6th seal of darkness until the 5th trumpet are the ministry of the 2 witnesses, able to change blood into water in Revelation 11, and completed as a plague they are said to be able to perform at the 2nd trumpet. Revelation 11 and Revelation 8 is the 2nd scene, just like Revelation 13 and 6 made the 1st scene of the seals opening. The 2 witnesses' testimony coincides with Revelation 11 scene located in Jerusalem, the capital of the beast's federal region. A scene like Exodus is happening with the 2 witnesses. They overcome the Antichrist and false prophet with the trumpets, until the 6th trumpet, after people can die again. The 5th trumpet has Azazel rise with hell and the demons of hell. No one can die because hell is on earth. The cataclysmic event that opened the wormhole was wormwood, of course. After the martyrs cry as the 5th seal breaks, 2 witnesses arise out of the persecution. Like Moses and Aaron, it is written that they can turn water into blood and perform as many plagues as they want. Revelation 11. The 6th seal opened is a plague of darkness, and then fire and hail mixed with blood that are flying into earth. That description of the 1st trumpet in Revelation the 8:7 comes close to accomplishing the prophesy Revelation 11 verse 6. The 2nd trumpet, though, in Revelation 8 verse 8 fulfills Revelation 11:6, indicating the 2 witnesses are closely involved and associated in what's happening with the trumpets, all in Jerusalem according to Revelation 11. Something like a huge asteroid hits the ocean and turns 1/3 of the sea into blood. The 3rd angel sounds the trumpet, and the asteroid wormwood turned the waters bitter. The asteroid wormwood had in its core an unknown element. That element chemically reacts with H20 in such a way that causes a cataclysmic event, opening a wormhole. The 4th trumpet says the 1/3 of the day, 1/3 of the stars, and 1/3 of the moon was turned black. In other words, a wormhole of darkness opened up like a type of electromagnetic field. At the 5th trumpet, Azazel is released by Raphael, and he comes with a locust army of Nephilim as Hades crawls out of hell and death is suspended for a few months. The galaxy is going through a wormhole of punctuated equilibrium evolution that steadies as the second advent comes closer. After 5 months of the beast from the abyss acting like the angel of death from Exodus, tortures with his demon army the seventh head into submission, Revelation 17 verses 7 to 11 is accomplished. At the sixth trumpet, the two witnesses are killed as Semjaza, Amaros, Barakijal, and Tamiel come out of the abyss and establish a royal layer of the empire reigning over the Fed and state principalities as the eighth head of the 7 kings of the beast from the sea. At that time the seventh trumpet is blown, and Revelation 11 scene is completed, and the mid-tribulation theory has been accomplished. Corinthians 15:51-52. The change that happens is the Revelation 15 scene. Those surrounding the temple are reflected in Revelation 7 and again in 14. Chapter 16 is the wrath of the Lamb as the bowls of wrath poured out on the seven-headed beast and the false prophet, as well as the eighth head of the seven-headed beast from the sea, described as the eighth head in Revelation 17 verse 11. That's the chronology of the onset of the beast until the mid-tribulation rapture. The bowls of wrath end in Revelation 19 with everyone who resisted the mark changed, Isaiah 65 verse 20, Zach 13:1-7 Rev 20. For 1,000 years until the final judgment. Ethos of the Antichrist, false prophet, and the AI system of the beast, based off the Marduk statue as the image of the beast who forces the mark and the worship of the beast. Through a triage of reorganizing captured populations, deciding the fate as they draw out the kingdom in real time through the beast from the earth. Depending if you are worthy or not determines if those captured are killed on the spot or are left to die in camps. The rest of humanity are given the promise of life, the name of the beast's empire, according to which state is best fit for them to live under. The elite are taken to the federal capital city in Jerusalem. A smart temple is reigning as the center of the beast with the Antichrist and false prophet headquarters are established before the rise of the fallen angels of the abyss and the bowls of wrath. The human Antichrist, the white horse rider who takes over the world with his state and fed world empire, and the false prophet who administers that kingdom on his behalf as the little horn are similar to Babel. They believe that they are the successful results of what the fallen angels were trying to do in Atlantis. The fallen angels attempted to create an immortal Nephilim or hybrid to lead the rest of Earth and the physical domain back to a state of immortality, surviving through the strength of their created spirits in flesh form. Enoch 19 and Hebrews 1 verse 14, that were born evil, Enoch 7 and 10, reflecting the truth and the pride that led them to rebel, not accepting the punishment of mortality and obedience to God's decree over the sin in the garden. The claim that comes from the Antichrist and the false prophet is that they believe the beast is God, even higher than the fallen angels who tried to lead them back into immortality, but failed. The angels who manifested in temples to hybridize women in order to put their names into physical form wanted to act like the Most High surrounded by the heavenly host, but invisible and extending outside creation. In the same way the fallen angels on Hermon or most likely MT Ararat in the first influx, in an oracle of Delhi kind of way materialized in various physical forms. The Nephilim were the manifestation of these fallen spirit beings with no regular physical form. Among the hybrids of plants and animals over the hundreds of years between the fall and the flood, the Nephilim were physically born as Neanderthal hybrids with spirit beings or fallen angels, resulting in Homo sapiens and other hybridizations in plants and animals. Punctuated equilibrium evolution can explain the variations in mankind's lifespan. A Homo erectus could have been immortal and from the garden. A Neanderthal could have been a variation of species from the fall. They could have all been living together while being hybridized into Homo sapiens. But even if they were not, a portion of them were hybridized into Nephilim of Nephilim so that they resembled other animals entirely, like some breeds of dinosaurs. The dinosaurs could have existed from the beginning. Even if it wasn't specifically the hybridization that caused the variation in Neanderthal to change mankind into Homo sapiens, the dwindle of lifespans after the flood until David and the environment after the flood could also contribute to the change in species. The races then can be explained from that. Each of the 5 angels who interbred are 5 varieties of angelic spirits. Based on who they were or what they did on Earth, Their spirits formed in the evil and bloodthirsty Nephilim, Enoch 7. There are 5 skulls of Homo sapien. https://anthroholic.com/major races of the world. The skulls change with the races. Congoid, or African black, and Australianoid, Sri Lankan or Hindu. Then there is a skull shared by Caucasian Homo sapiens, and one for Asians, and one for indigenous Capoid races that we see as American natives. Anyway, look at the table in the website. You can tell if someone was Black, Asian, Continental American, Indigenous, or Indian by looking at the skull bones. Each of the fallen angels' classes taught each subject of civilization to a certain breed of Neanderthal, creating a Homo sapiens race build-off occupation. Not to mine gold, but to restore immortality. Azazel the Miner is the leader of all those hybridizing native Capoid Nephilim races that look like Native American, Mexican, or Sumerian. Semjaza, who taught black magic, or the active ingredient of compounds. He's the leader of all those who were hybridized under that spirit. The Congoid Homo sapien. Amaros taught the resolvement of these enchantments, as the leader of teaching white magic. Amaros with Semjaza taught mankind to balance and create compounds and hybridization techniques. Azazel took over the leadership role Semjaza had in heaven by becoming the leader in the city of Enoch that Cain founded east of Eden in the land of Nod in the time of Atlantis, teaching mining resources, making weapons of war and other techniques that changed the culture into a sedentary civilization rather than a proto-Neolithic hunter and gatherer peoples. It took these 5 divisions of Homo sapiens to work together to make one kingdom. Besides mining and teaching white and black magic, or poison and medicines, there were the 2 others who taught astronomy, the leader of all the Asian or Mongoloid Homo sapiens, and astrology, the leader of all the Indian or Australianoid hybrids. They were supposed to come together like Babel and interbreed a royal race. What wound up happening was Enoch 7, the lust of the demons and dinosaurs, reflecting the spirit of the fallen. Temples were adorned with all the precious metals of Eden, which is what they tried to call their empire back then. Using the mark of Cain life as the theme of New Eden, they tried to set themselves up as a pantheon with those 5 fallen angels and breed of angels based on mission performed. They take on various forms, so they reflect the deeds of what they taught. There are 5 planets that can be seen with the naked eye in the sky. These used to symbolize these 5 fallen angel leaders who existed as spirits manifesting in various forms and temples, with a reigning queen and Nephilim prodigy. The reigning queen wouldn't always be just mankind. It could be a hybridized variation of mankind. The 5 main races that emerged were these races we are today. Enoch 10. Enoch 10 says that since the fallen angels had their hybrids, they would only live 500 years and die. But this breed of Nephilim could have come after the first phase of hybridization. Using the Septuagint chronology from 5555 BC to 3300 BC is Adam until the flood. Bibelu.ca Septuagint chronology in the time of Jared or in the time of Tubal-Cain, they started teaching. Whatever that math works out to is the time of Atlantis until 3300 BC. The Nephilim, described as Enoch 7, only would live 500 years until they all died by mutual slaughter, Enoch 10, so there might have been 500 years before the bloodthirsty dinosaur like demon Nephilim are described as being born. By the end of it, only Noah and his family were considered righteous. Many hybrids might have been evil. But there was a portion of all creation that lived like Seth's lineage, as the nomadic peoples did before they settled into sedentary positions, like Cain's lineage. Like the movie Apocalypto, they might have been hunted. It's at this time that the angels are bound up and the flood catastrophe happens. Babel, they tried to come together from finding the previous generation's traditions and creating future influxes, described up until David's time, when the lifespans of the characters in the Bible slowed down to normal lifespans we know today. They only were able to breed into different ethnicities from those 8 souls and triage humanity into races again. That's the tower they built. They were busy organizing into tribes based off of palm prints, zodiac dates, and skin tone and skull shape, in order to make a solid ethnicity. Once they did that, they built a tower to the heavens to contact the angels. With the environmental changes, the hybridization didn't work as well. We hear of giants, and then we hear of Delhi oracles and possessed kings and emperors involved in incestuous affairs that resulted in birth defects like having 6 pupils in each eye. If we could see back in time, we would see leaders and people conditioned from birth to believe they were possessed with a divine strength. The apex of that came as ruling as king. They could have got in an argument of who on earth was the authority, and through that their language split, and they went away to plant centers around the earth and build up on a broader foundation. In Genesis 10, we see Menes and Assur and Babel being found by Cush and Nimrod. This the mystery Babylon Marduk equivalent, with the gates of Ishtar being the wisdom of the empire. The kingship succession of Tammuz and the heir being raised by the wisdom of the city developed into what we know today as the mother-father-son emanation of the divine essence. A pantheistic heresy that promotes the oligarchy or aristocracy as divine. 2 very different cultures existed in at different times and contemporary together. The earlier proto-Neolithic hunter and gatherers that, like the Native Americans, worshipped a spirit as the spoken word of the one pre-eternal being God who always existed outside creation before he created anything. By the time of the 7th head of the red dragon, which is the 7-headed beast from the sea that emerges, the last empire of the beast think they are more powerful than the fallen angels. That's in line with what the other 6 heads of the red dragon might have thought. Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome, the first 6 heads of the red dragon of Revelation 12, might have all claimed the same. They believed they could use magic to control spirit beings the same way they try and use magic to control God. The world is forced to worship the Antichrist as the only one true eternal monotheistic deity that always existed. But like the past empires, most the people are agnostic. Only recently most states turned atheist. They can easily see through in most empires what the leaders are doing to the masses, manipulating them into believing them as divine. But they go along with it out of fear, punishment, and motivated by earthly success, at the expense of an obvious lie that is forced upon everyone as truth. The revolution of the 2 witnesses overcome the AI system by bringing up the fact that their utopia is an obvious dystopia that is not immortal. They point to the fallen angels as closer to divinity than the mortality of the Antichrist's kingdom, and claim that they have no power over the next life, which the Antichrist says will be completed when everyone is submitted in formation to him. The 2 witnesses and others involved in the movement that happens worldwide, with them leading the miraculous revolution of the trumpets. They are protected by the AI system, or the image of the beast, because they contest the divinity of the beast with theology, logic, and history in order to pass the challenge of the triad in such a way as to be deemed to live in captivity, like Daniel. They claim that because the underworld and the physical are not even one yet, or mastered by the kingdom of the beast, that they can't be divine. Being able to articulate the theology and logic by the Holy Spirit, they are able to perform miracles. Even those in captivity, like the movie X-Men, the first one, in the first scenes with Magneto discovering his powers in the concentration camp, where they perform miracles like Magneto, but are usually killed. The 2 witnesses are kept alive though until the 7th trumpet. All unsanctioned violence is illegal. After the 7th trumpet, that's the mid-tribulation nightly pilgrimage. Everyone is brought near the temple with God, and we wait until the bowls of wrath are poured out. From Rev 11, after the 7th trumpet, the mid-tribulation rapture follows, and we are brought to Revelation 14 to 16, culminating in Revelation 19, before the second advent of Revelation 20. It's a system where you repent and turn your life in for the mark of life the beast of the earth forces everyone to get, as they are triaged in different phases, depending on how well they do while being relocated within the new empire. Because the 2 witnesses are able to prove that God manifest has not truly manifested in their empire, in any regard, because it's not immortal. This provokes the system to demand miraculous signs and wisdom. The 2 witnesses beat the system in competition according to the rules laid down for determining the next leader, who is reincarnated from the population after the Antichrist dies. The way they see it, they are agnostic too. Reigning as God on earth just takes reigning in his spot forever, and when immortality can be achieved, break the power of religion by saying it was the empire's power that always restored life until it perfected it. They don't need to believe in the story. They just need to occupy and reign over religion. The beast system is a deified version of what is worldly, in a cringe type of forced dystopia. Most people are really agnostic or atheist, but have to put on a mask in order to be accepted by society. In this case, it's to receive the mark of the beast. From an atheist or agnostic perspective, under the empire of the beast, who is in charge of maintaining the world government, it's better to have the Antichrist system forever established in Jerusalem, reigning and ruling as a big brother tyrannical religious type of dystopian civilization where all is moderated and seen. It's better to leave the supernatural prophecies to be an unfulfillable future everyone in the system would be conditioned and coerced to believe, and to just take over divinity by ruling in its stead until it can be eventually progress civilization into immortality and thus divinity achieved. It's better for them to leave it open for people to rebel and then crush them into submission when no miracles or wisdom or strength can challenge the power of their reign. And to also submit to the prophesy, so that if the two witnesses did rise, that they would open the door to immortality when the fallen angels showed up. If they are defeated and the second coming happens, then they achieve the goal anyway of immortality that way. As it is, they see the prophesies as the manual for ruling, and through the Bible gnostically seeing a hidden meaning that the devil was good and God was evil. Because the Antichrist system prophesy is how to best run and manage civilization from an agnostic Gnostic or even atheist perspective. That is how the AI, the image of the World Federal Marduk statue or beast, determines it, with the help of the false prophet that programs it. Until the unlikely event that two people arise to trigger the supernatural. Anyone with the wisdom and strength granted by God is protected so that more data can be found on how to find immortality for humanity, which is the purpose and name of the beast, life. The more long the empire reigns, the least likely anyone would know the Bible or the other holy books, which have been rewritten and burned. How could they dispute with no knowledge or power the legitimacy of reign, with no sources, but the big brother enslaving all those born into it and aborting all else? Those who move with the Holy Spirit in miraculous ways, who prophesy logically with all knowledge what Christ has revealed to them, and are able to defend their faith, get a special status as non-killable in captivity. They're allowed to interact through the system, and they provoke those with the mark to want to hurt them. The AI kills them for trying to kill them without sanction. And the two witnesses can back up the things they say so that they are not punished by the moderating AI as Big Brother for speaking dishonestly. Either those with the mark are given an injection or it's being done by satellite. But anyone who tries to harm the two witnesses are killed by a fire that proceeds from their mouths. Revelation 11 verse 5. What they say cuts those who have the mark to the heart in the same way Jesus' words would infuriate the Pharisees' crowds. The AI system can read emotion and all behavioral data. The two witnesses are the champions of the triage court, and they're allowed to be on the main stage in the Jerusalem court in a type of honorary prison until they are proven wrong by someone else's logic, which forces everyone in the evil empire to challenge them. Because if they can be stopped and proven wrong, then whoever proves them climbs the ranks of society, while whoever can't goes down the ranks of society. As a type of game show and social credit system. All violence not sanctioned is illegal. Only the system AI has authorization to grant or take life. People become sanctioned to be killed by the AI system for breaking the rules or losing a challenge, as well as other penalties and rewards. People are not used to hearing that the Empire and the Antichrist is an unholy blasphemy. Most people are killed for that. But those who endure the triage of trials are allowed to say things others are not, because they are able to explain and show why that is. When they are attacked verbally, if they don't answer well, the AI system makes it so they burst in flames with their weapon systems. Anyone who challenges them is trying to hurt them so they can climb the ranks of society and get a chance to live in the federal capital region. No one kills except the beast, and those are its sacrifices. Angels looked forward to the arrival of the Messiah as prophets were revealing the Logos through the Holy Spirit. The fallen angels could have been trying to mess up the lineage and fulfill the role Messiah through their own progeny of the fallen angels and Nephilim. They maybe didn't know Jesus was to come at the time, but regardless, their pride blinded them, so they rebelled against the Logos and through their own power tried to save humanity and bring them back to immortality. Jesus, regardless of original sin, even if there was none, would still come to be high priest and Lord of Lords. The person of Jesus was always meant to be created as the second Adam, where the authority of the Logos is yoked to a created being. The two natures of Christ side by side, yoked like oxen in one person or soul. Jesus was always meant to be born as the focal point of God within creation. Because of sin and death that was yoked to sin entering the world, he had to suffer and die in order to endure and conquer it. Also, there are two criteria for Messiah in Old Testament prophecies. He has to suffer and enter humbly, and he has to change the nature of mankind and the planet with his kingdom so that the immortality of Eden is restored. It takes that divinity and the two natures to define the ancient Israeli definition of Messiah in the Old Testament scriptures. In Judaism, there are two Messiahs predicted to come because of the two sets of prophecies concerning the Old Testament Messiah. One, he enters on a colt, and all the suffering verses are in stark contrast to the prophecies that predict a restored Eden from an eternal kingdom that emerges from the line of David. Chapter 6. Chapter